Welcome back to you guys in the outdoors. This week is going to be an extension from last week's session of backcountry camping, where Mike and Luis talks about the equipment and what they would focus in. So appreciate you watching, and please subscribe, leave a comment, like the show, and share it with your friends. Thank you.
I've heard both of you all talking about, practicing, and both of you have talked a lot about equipment. So I guess let's go there. Let's talk about some of the equipment that is a necessity that you would recommend somebody. You've got to have these three things or these four things. And then maybe if you two could compile your list and share them with Bob and I, and we can maybe post those in the on this once it goes to YouTube.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, like pick three or four things that somebody has got to have and why.
All right. You want to go ahead, Luis?
Yeah. So yeah, like I would say one of the first things to really, when it comes to gear, is starting to understand your layering just on your person first. And I think the most important things to basically understand is like your base layers, and those are the things that are going to be closest to your skin. And those are going to be the things that wick away the moisture, wick away the sweat. And then you're going to have your mid layers, and those are going to be the things that insulate you. And then you're going to have your outer layers, and that's going to be what protects you from the elements, whether really it's like more so from rain or wind. So if I was to say there are three like absolutes, I mean, it's kind of tough to go over it, but I mean, definitely one is, go find yourself a good pair of hiking shoes, because tennis shoes are just not going to really be the best thing. Because they're more made for like road running or running around a track. But hiking is totally different, especially if you're like me, who used to be an avid runner. I mean, I just about almost broke my ankle like a million times. So my ankles are like very fragile. So hiking boots made a world of a difference because they protected my ankles, and then they protected me from just all the rocks and things that I would step on. And then as you go to like your local camp store or something like that, they usually advise to go about half size up. You're going to be wearing different layer socks with it. Protecting your feet is like just super important. And then I'm really grateful to different like local camping stores, because they usually have really generous return policies. They let you go out and try these things out. So if you find a good pair of hiking shoes, break those things in. So I would say number one is definitely getting a good pair of hiking shoes. Number two is find yourself like a good insulating layer. It could either be a synthetic insulation. I would not recommend like a natural insulation like down, because now, a synthetic insulation, it can still get wet, and you never know, especially up with the mountains, the weather can change real quickly.
Oh, yeah.
So definitely just like a lightweight synthetic jacket, I think, is a go-to. And then the other piece is definitely always, regardless of the weather, bring a rain jacket with you. Preferably something that has open zips like underneath the armpit, so that you can actually breathe and release some of the condensation. It'll protect you from the wind. It'll protect you from the rain. And if I definitely, I mean, I know there's the tent and the sleeping, gear, and then the backpack, but that's like a whole separate thing about gear. But as far as I would say, the first thing people need to get together is like a good layering system for
Yeah.
themselves. So boots, jacket, and then some kind of rainwear.
Yeah.
What's the difference? Like now we're out backcountry camping today, 80 something degrees, okay, versus in the wintertime. How does that affect your layering? And then if you're throwing in hunting in there also, Mike, how does that throw that layering in?
So my thing with the layering is I like merino wool, and even in the summertime, I mean, to this day, I still wear wool socks. I mean, I wear them to work today.
Yep.
And I
I
work
wore
in a,
wool socks today. Yep.
yeah, I mean, that's all I wear is wool socks because the one, to keep your feet dry most of the time, and they whip the sweat away from my feet, and they keep my feet warm, usually generally in the wintertime. Now, this winter, I'm going to try alpaca socks and see how they work. Because I understand they're pretty good at insulating as well. So I'll be trying those this winter. But like Louis said, layering, I like a lightweight merino wool, like a 145 weight or maybe even a 200, depend. But in the summertime, I'll still go with like with the Kuyu or a Sika lightweight when I'm hunting as a base layer. And then I have like a uh, Wind Pro jacket a light jacket that I can put on over that if I needed to. And then I do have my heavier jacket. They call them puffy jackets. They're really lightweight. But the beauty of a puffy jacket is if you were to get it wet, all you got to do is wring it out and you can still wear it. And your body heat will eventually dry that out fairly quickly. So in a lot of survival situations, you'll see guys fall in the water wintertime kind of deal, and they panic. They start throwing clothes off. Well, with a puffy jacket, you don't have to do that. You wring it out, put it on, and if you keep walking, it'll dry itself out eventually. So, I have a puffy jacket I always carry with me, and then I have they're a lightweight merino wool zip off long johns. They actually zip. I don't even have to undress to take them off. So if I start to overheat, all I do is I just unbuckle my pants and drop my pants down and unzip the legs and take them off at the waist. So I don't even have to pull my boots and socks off to take those off if I start getting overheated. But I really like a lightweight ultra merino base layer to start with, and then I'll layer up from that. And if it's in the wintertime, like out in Colorado hunting, I'll probably bring an extra jacket with me or something or another layer, a 200 gram layer of merino wool, and maybe another shirt and a pullover that I can roll up and keep because like I said, it's all about weight. So I try to keep everything down. And then I try to, I don't move fast because I don't want to start sweating. That's the key is, man, once you start sweating, you get wet, it's all over but the crying. So any way you can use that. And like Louis said, all my stuff has like zippers under the arms, or up the sides to where you can get airflow going in there. Because once you start feeling yourself get overheated, then you need to stop and peel a layer or two off. Because when you're walking and carrying weight, you don't realize how much heat you're generating until you do start sweating. And then, like I said, once you start sweating, one, you got scent control you got to worry about in a hunting situation, but now you're getting your clothes wet, that wet clothes against your body. So you want something to wick it away from your body.
I definitely would. I would say if I was going to take a friend out hiking, and I was scanning them head to toe, I would make sure number one, they're not wearing any cotton.
Yeah, true.
So,
No.
like cotton. I mean, that's probably something that's really familiar, like in the hiking world or like the backcountry camping or even hunting. But if it was like somebody who was just coming along with me for the first time,
Yeah.
I would say, just reach into your closet, see if you have any fitness gear, anything that's like
Polypropylene.
a quick drying fabric.
Yeah. Polypropylene.
Yeah, like nylon, polyester, anything that's moisture wicking. I back in 2011, I tried to join a hiking club because it was something that I was interested in. And I was wearing cotton socks, a cotton hoodie, like a big like jacket, like I had a cotton hat on, like everything was cotton. I'm surprised nobody said anything to me. And I mean, they were just trekking and I couldn't keep up. And so I said, I'm just gonna go back. And they said, do you know the way back? And I was like, yeah, I just kind of follow this, but I didn't have a headlamp with me. And that's something we'll talk about later. But yeah, I was trying to walk back at nighttime, just covered in sweat with nothing but cotton. And looking back at it now, I was like, that was such a dangerous thing because that could lead to hypothermia, especially if you decide you want to try to go to sleep that night. Just a bad idea. So going back to like the layering, definitely I would avoid against any cotton whatsoever.
Yeah.
So I'm still on the layering piece, and this may something you have to tell me guys later, but So even in in the summertime when it's warm like this, you're going to wear basically 3 layers of clothing.
No.
No, so you want to
No.
be able to be like an onion. Like you want to be able to pack it on and you want to be
Yeah.
able to pack it off.
Okay. Okay. Now,
Yeah.
Example, like if it's in the summertime, like I would wear something like this. This is like a synthetic shirt that's moisture wicking. But if it started getting a little bit chillier, like in the evening, I could throw on like a mid layer, like a light jacket, something that would be insulating. Now, if it started getting really cold or suddenly the weather changes, I've always got my rain jacket packed right on the outside of my pack because it's really grab and go. Even sometimes I just reach for my rain jacket. Like your rain jacket is going to be kind of one of the number one things that you also need to invest in, is because that's going to protect you from the elements. Whether it's rain or snow. I've had times where I went to bed and it was like a beautiful night, and then I woke up with like bunch of snow around me. And I was like, what is this? So just going back to the layering piece. Yeah, there's going to be 3 layers. You basically want to be like an onion. You want a base layer, something that's going to be on your skin. You want to make it as close to your skin as possible, almost as if it's a part of you. And then your mid layer is going to be what's going to insulate you if you start getting cold. And it really depends on what season it is. So like right now it's the summer, and usually, you always want to check your weather. And if it's going to be like 70s, 80s, but then it drops down to maybe like the 60s, you're not going to need this like really big insulating jacket. But it is going to start getting a little bit chilly. But I would say regardless of the season, you're going to have your base layer, you're going to have your insulating layer, and then you're always going to have your outer layer, which is like your rain jacket.
And then what Bob's question, and in the summer in a hunting situation, though, I have hunting pants that are actually ultra lightweight that has zippers down the side. So it's almost like wearing shorts, but I can take and zip those zippers down, like my Kuiu attack pants or the Tiburons, something that's got the Tiburons are a little bit lighter weight. That's normally what I wear hunting is the Kuiu brand. And so I can zip those down the side. So I got air flowing around my waist and my lower part of my body. And then I'll wear like Luis said, I'll wear a lightweight merino short sleeve shirt or a polypropylene top.
So you guys are talking about your equipment, and you're talking about some name brand layering as far as clothing. And I'm a hunter. I'm not a backcountry camper. I'm a hunter, and I know the importance of clothing. In the hunting industry, you can get by with some inexpensive items.
Lesser name brands
that can keep you comfortable.
Yeah.
But let me, and we're talking, I may be only walking a couple 100 yards from my pickup truck, or I may be only walking a half mile or a mile from my camp. Mike being out west, we're talking miles.
I did 62 miles in a week.
Yep.
Between 9,200 and 11,000 feet.
And Luis, you're talking a couple miles into the mountains. Trust me, I'm an old hillbilly boy. I live right here in the heart of the mountains, and I know what the mountains can do to you. Even our mountains here in Virginia. So my question is, for our viewers, what's equipment going to cost you? Is there inexpensive equipment for somebody that wants to do this kind of activity?
So I would say yes, there is. You could buy used, but I would be very cautious of buying used. Know what to look for before you go buy it. Do your research, because some folks will abuse stuff. For example, you can buy used backpacks online all day long, but are the straps pulling out? Are they, are the buckles all there? Or, is it ripped? All that kind of stuff. So Yeah, you can do cheaper alternatives, but in the long run, and that's part of the learning process. And I know Luis, because he's already spoken to it, is you buy stuff, try it out. If it doesn't work for you, then you go move on to the next thing, or you talk to your friends and see what works for them. That's how I got most of my stuff. Was I would John Robertson, good friend of ours, very avid bow hunter, excellent hunter, one of the best hunters I know, and he goes out west a lot to hunt. So I leaned on him a lot for advice on what equipment for my first trip out west. And so people that have been there, done that, so to speak. I'm not saying I'm in a position in my life now where I can afford the better stuff, so to speak, and it works for me. So, but I've been there. I mean, I started hunting jeans and flannel shirts, like I know you did, Jason. So it's kind of been a process that I've gone through as far as equipment and that. So I do buy higher end equipment because it does last and it serves the purpose that I need it to. So that's why I go with the more name brands now.
So the key thing,
Under Armour. Go ahead, Bob.
the key things that we talked about so far is, your knowledge, which is what you're talking about, Mike, is learning about the equipment and figuring out where maybe you need to spend the money a little bit more and where you can cut back a little bit by
Yep.
talking to people and getting mentors on that. And then the fitness, of course, and then the layering. So the layering is a big thing. You guys both said that is extremely important. Okay. So now what other equipment, if you just look at it as like, I want to go backcountry camping, and I can't just go out and buy everything that's out there for backcountry camping. What's the minimum stuff that I need to get started?
I would say a good backpack, because you got to be able to get your stuff out there.
Yeah.
I would definitely go with some hiking poles or trekking poles, depending on the terrain now. Now, I use them out in Colorado because we have such rough terrain. And I can fold them up. They're real lightweight. But a pack, my trekking poles, some kind of cook system, like a jet boil.
Okay.
And for me, being out west hunting, a water filtration system. And then definitely a small first aid kit, because as a bow hunter, we're always cutting ourselves. I don't care who you are. You cut yourself either with a knife or with a broadhead.
So what I got out of that was backpack, hiking poles, water filtration, first aid, and Bob's coffee making machine.
Right. Well, I mean, you can cook on them too, because as part of the ultralight, backpacking thing is we don't take a lot of food with us, and all the food that I take with me are all dehydrated meals. Mm-hmm. So kind of like not MREs, but I mean, because MREs are inherently heavy. I mean, they're 3,000 calories a pack. They're great for that kind of stuff, but they weigh too much. So I go with like Mountain House or one of the other name brand freeze-dried food systems that you just add boiling water to it. And I can put 7 or 8 days worth of meals in my pack, and it won't even weigh 2 or 3 pounds.
Is that what you also do, Luis?
Yeah. So we're talking about food.
Yeah.
Yeah, like to me, like, yeah, food is like this whole other thing. So I actually, just to go back to your original question real quick, if I had to give somebody like the top 3 things, just to oversimplify the answer, number 1, I would say, based on where you're going to go hiking and what the weather's going to be like, pick a tent. That's going to be your number 1. There's backcountry camping or backpacking tents are different than like campsite tents. So it is going to be a lot lighter. It's going to be a little bit heavier. And then you're going to decide from there if you want like a 1-person tent or a 2-person tent. I've tried 1-person tents before because I wanted it to be real stealthy. but I set it up and it was enough room for me, but it wasn't enough room for my pack. So then I just kind of went on to like a 2-person tent. So that would be one of the first things that I would look at, and then just have fun learning how to set it up. The second I would say is your sleep system. And that's going to consist of 3 different parts, which is going to include the tent. But then on the inside, that's once you have your tent, you're going to realize the dimensions of your sleeping pad and your sleeping bag.
Yeah.
A sleeping pad is important. You're going to want to choose the right insulating value. So that's going to be called your R value. That's going to keep you off the ground, and that's going to keep the heat or the cold from getting to you at night. And honestly, like sleep is going to be one of the number one things, because that's really going to make or break your trip.
Yeah.
So you're going to pick like your sleeping pad. If it's like the summertime, you don't need a sleeping pad with like a high R value. Basically, it's going to be like a glorified air mattress. And it depending, it's like if it's like a nice summer, like cool night, you're going to want to feel that coolness. It's going to feel really nice sleeping on cool ground in a hot night. It's going to work itself out. But if it's like winter, you're going to want something with a really high R value. And then when it comes to backpacks, I'm sorry, sleeping bags, that's like a whole other, category in itself.
Geez, yeah.
Then I would say pick your backpack last. And that's something that I wish somebody told me, was because I was so excited to go for the backpack, because I was like, that is the symbol of backpacking. But then I picked a backpack that was too small to fit all the stuff that I picked. So I try to put my sleeping bag in there. I try to put my sleeping pad. I try to put my sleeping, and then there wasn't enough room. And they're like, you're going to need a backpack with a higher liter, amount or volume. So backpack, I would say, goes last, because it's going to go based off of your equipment. So those would be like the 3 things: is your sleep system, which is going to include, your sleeping bag, your sleeping pad, and then it's going to be your tent. And then out of those, you're going to pick your backpack, and then you're going to start branching out into the things that you're going to need, like your stove, your stuff to filter water, which is going to be super important. And then, then we go into the conversation about food, kind of circling back to where we were.
Yeah.
I started off bringing like dehydrated meals. You just boil some hot water and drop it in the bag, wait a couple minutes, and then you scarf it down. I have recently started to kind of start learning how to cook a little bit more. So I've seen a lot of videos about people bringing actual like ingredients out there, which could actually be a lot lighter. The most simple thing to do is bring the dehydrated meals out there. And those can be really good. I've had really good dehydrated meals, and I've had some terrible dehydrated meals.
Yeah.
I would say definitely try the meals out before you take them out into the backcountry. And honest answer, because you might try one and then it might just give you the runs. And then it's a whole separate conversation about how to poop in the woods.
Yeah. And that's not a good thing to have when you're backpacking, is the runs.
Exactly. Like that's not something you want, because every step you take, you're going to hear your stomach say, it's going
Which is why it's important to have a very good water filtration system.
Exactly. So there's that too. Yeah. You don't want to make yourself sick. So once you get those like core items out of the way, then you start bringing food in. But I'd say start making the dehydrated meals at home. Just try it out. Pour some hot boiling water in there. Eat them. Sometimes on the bag, it'll say, just keep the water in there for 2 minutes, but then you'll eat it and the noodles will still be crunchy and hard. Usually if you're starving at that point, you're just going to crunch through them and say, all right, crunchy noodles tonight, boys. But you want to learn how to make it really well, because being able to fuel your body is really important. So
because you definitely burn some calories backpacking.
sure. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I just recommend for everybody to just try everything at home.
Yeah.
Just try everything at home first. To go to the camping store, buy a dehydrated meal, come home and follow the instructions on it and see if you like the way that it tastes. And if it tastes good.
Now, do y'all order this stuff online? Is there local stores that carry this kind of stuff? Where do you find these dehydrated meals?
Yeah, I would definitely, and this might give you a sponsorship, but I would say REI.
Yeah,
Um,
REI is
you
a
know,
good one.
REI is like my number one go-to place. I basically, lived there at one point because I was just spending all day just learning everything I could in there. And then there's just other places you could go. Honestly, I would go to an actual camping store and not like a sporting equipment store that just carries camping equipment. Try to go to a store that has like designated, like there used to be a store called Eastern Mountain Sports. There's very few of them now. Most of them are online. There's REI, which is kind of one of like the big ones that kind
They're
of
all over.
game. Yeah. Cabela's is pretty good. I don't know, Mike, if you know of any other ones.
Yeah, I've ordered some of mine online, and believe it or not, I've gone into Walmart a couple of times and they've had some Mountain House meals in there for, on sale every once in a blue moon. And I'll pick some up while I'm in there just to have,
Mhm.
because if they don't have, if they don't have anything online that I want and Walmart got it, then I'll pick it up at Walmart. They run about, I don't know, they're like $6 or $7 a meal, something like that. I mean, they're fairly reasonable. I mean, you're going to spend more than that in a restaurant anyway. You're going to be getting a restaurant experience out in the woods. Just add
And
water.
and these meals have I'm sure they've got a long or a large shelf life, right?
Right. Yep,
So
they
if
last
you
pretty, and they're high calorie too. That's the main thing. You want the calories because you're going to be burning them up big time.
So, if one of our viewers or myself pick up some meals, they're going to be good for a while.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. A lot of people buy them for survivalists will buy them to store because you can buy them. You can buy them in bulk too if you wanted to, and then divide them out into individual packets to lighten it. You can buy them you can buy like 5 pounds of chili mac, in a bucket kind of deal. You just add 10 gallons of water to it. So,
So Jason, in Harrisonburg here, where we live, there's a store by the name of Walkabout Outfitters that has all that hiking and camping and
Is that the one downtown?
yeah, right on the corner.
Yep.
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 Yeah, I also like what I found to be really helpful is like looking online, like for example, just going back to like what was my go-to store and still is REI. They have like they have a lot of articles on their website. So looking that up, and then they have things that are like basic backpacking checklists. They're going to ask you to kind of look at your primary gear, which is going to be like your backpacks, your tents, your sleeping system. It basically kind of layers it by categories, of the very essential items that you should have in your pack. And a lot of those basic essentials are the ones that you're really going to spend your money on. And then everything after that is basically just like luxury items that you don't necessarily need, but you're going to maybe want to start bringing with you. And that's really where you start customizing your experience with backcountry camping. Because for example, I carry like a small little chair with me. You don't need to bring one, but I find that at the end of the day, when I finally set up and I want to just sit outside of my tent and have a meal, I've had times where I've sat on a log, and at that point, like my butt cheeks are just killing me. I'm just like, I can't sit on this log anymore. But I don't want to go have this meal in my tent. So then I started packing this small little lightweight chair with me. That's been really helpful. And just like all sorts of like little stuff that you want to bring with you, like the coffee stuff. You could get fancy and do like a French press whole situation. Or you could just do like some instant coffee.
Yeah.
Some people want cream with their coffee. Some people just drink it black.
Yeah.
So
So in a hunting situation, yeah, we don't bring the chair and we don't bring the French press.
What do you mean we don't bring the French press?
You come backpacking with me, you get your coffee black, dude.
I got a French press in my jet boil.
those
Nice.
are really good too. Yeah.
Anyway, so from what you were saying, Luis, REI is very similar to like Orvis.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
As Orvis is to fly fishing, REI is to backpacking and camping.
Camping. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Okay. So the key things is the layering. So getting some decent clothing and just get it in layers. Okay.
And that's for hunting and camping, so that
Yeah,
overlaps.
crossover. And then a good backpack that's going to be able to carry everything that you want. And like you said, Luis, a very smart piece of advice there. Wait until you know what you're going to carry before you go out and buy a backpack.
Yeah,
So,
like
but I,
find those essential things first. Like I love this sleeping bag. This sleeping pad feels good. It's not lumpy. I know I can sleep on this thing. And then, your tent, and then you want to leave enough space in your tent for things that you want to bring inside. Because I thought, oh, I could just leave my backpack outside of my tent, but then you're gonna wake up and find a squirrel in there or like a snake in there. So I prefer to bring my stuff inside
or
with me.
soaking wet.
Yeah, or it's soaking wet or something. And then I bought a one-person tent thinking, oh man, this is gonna be more lightweight, it's gonna be smaller, it's gonna be stealthy. But then I got in there and I could barely fit my sleeping pad, in there, or my sleeping pad. And I'm like, there's no space in here and it's claustrophobic. And then if you get caught in the rain, then you're stuck in there all night, and it's not an enjoyable experience if you don't like small spaces. So then I thought I need to go return this one-person tent and then get a two-person tent, which is really just a glorified one-person tent. And then I just started trading things out. And what I wish somebody had told me was get your backpack last, because once you get those equipment and you realize that you like them and that's what you want to carry around with you, then you could just decide what backpack you want to pack
Yeah,
out.
see, in my case, I went with the large pack, but I had to go with a large frame because when you're hauling an elk out on your back, you better have some support on it.
Yeah, the hunting.
That was a consideration separate from just backpack,
Exactly.
high country backpacking. Mine had to be serviceable, so mine has an actual frame that I can attach and tie me, a hind quarter of an elk to.
Mhm. Yeah, that's not something I've had to do before. So
Yeah, I've got an Alps. It's called the Alps Commander. It's like 6,800 cubic inch, something like that. It's pretty large, so I keep all my stuff in there, and then there's a separate strap system that I can take the pack off and strap to haul meat out with. So that was one of my considerations for my backpack. Got the padded waist belt, everything I needed on it. It's fitted to me. And that's the other thing, we're talking about packs. You need to make sure that pack is fitted to you properly. You just don't go buy a pack and go hike around the mountains with it. It's got to be fitted to you to be comfortable, so you're not miserable with it.
yeah, most camping stores, you go there, they'll check your torso length, they'll
Yep.
check if it fits you, and then they also have these like sandbags of different weights. And you could just pack that bag with a bunch of sandbags and then just kind of walk around the store with it for a while. What I would recommend is when you're looking for a pack, ask, a specialist or a sales rep to size you up to make sure that it's appropriate for the kind of trip that you want to take, for the weight that you're going to carry, and then go ahead and pack it up and then just go do some shopping, but do all your shopping experience while it's on your back. Because then you're going to be standing with it for a while, and you might be standing there for a good 10-15 minutes and be like, this is miserable, I don't like this.
Right.
There is going to be a learning curve there. You are going to have to get a little bit used to it. It's just like anything, you're going to have to grow familiar with that kind of uncomfort, or the discomfort. But yeah, I mean, definitely go get sized up really well.
Yeah. And the
Yeah.
other thing too is like you hit on it earlier, Luis, is learning how to pack that thing so you can get the things you need, like your rain jacket on top where you can get to it accessibly. First aid kit where you can get to it pretty quickly. Your clothing, all that kind of stuff. There's a method to how that pack needs to be packed.
Mhm.
And then you have to worry about your weight distribution, like I mentioned earlier. So all those things you can get that, and they'll help you with that in any REI. I mean, they're all experienced backpackers. They're really good at REI. I've been in there a couple of times. So,
Mhm.
but yeah,
So what I've learned from you two guys is, my everyday big game hunting pack is not going to be my backwoods camping pack.
It could be.
Yeah, it depends
Well,
on how far you're
What?
going and what you're doing. Yeah. Yeah. You
I
can
mean,
do what you have.
this is a Kerfaru, I guess is how you pronounce it. It's got a external frame for when I'm packing out game.
That's an excellent pack.
Yeah,
that's a beautiful
this
pack.
is a 22. It's their 22 mag, and I think that 22 stands for 22 liters. Does that sound
Probably.
right?
Yeah.
So I've got it plumb full already, and that's just hunting gear. You know what I mean? I don't have room for a tent. I mean, I'm sure I could strap, or put the tent, between the pack and the frame and my
Lunge
sleeping
it.
pad and things like that. So
Lunge it to the outside.
yeah, so I'm just curious, how big your all's packs are, and
Mine's about the same length as yours, but it's a little more thicker.
yeah. Hey, and I know what that pack cost me, so I know these packs that are comfortable, lightweight, fit you properly. And I just learned this, and I've been hunting my entire life. A good fitted backpack, the straps don't touch your shoulders.
Right. You got to make sure it's got the tension straps on the top. A lot of people go buy them that don't have those relief straps there on the top to where you can take and adjust your load just ever slightly. I'm telling you what, it's worth its weight in gold.
Yeah. Y'all correct me if I'm wrong, but you're carrying that weight
on your waist mostly.
Yeah, on your waist.
Especially on your hips.
Yeah.
That's why I say I got to be properly fitted. Now, my new one I'm getting ready to go buy here, in the not too distant future, they're close to about $800.
Yeah, I definitely would encourage people, to make an investment. However, one rule that I have with myself to stop myself from going into like the gear rabbit hole is I have to do things a certain number of times before I like elevate my gear.
Right.
Like if you really want to do this, not, of course this isn't, if you get a backpack, you could possibly injure yourself or something like that. So I'm not saying, go crazy and force yourself to do it if your body's telling you like you do not like this. Like, however, usually what I'll tell myself is just start with what you have, go a couple of times. If you have found yourself consistently going and you really like it and you feel like this is something that you're going to do, then go ahead and just level up a little bit.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, absolutely agree, because that's what I did. I spent big money on this pack.
And that thing will last you a lifetime, Jason.
Yeah, I mean, I spent big money on this pack, but just like Luis was saying, I wore my shoulders plumb out. I have wore out, I don't know how many rinky-dink, redhead, Walmart special, what I thought were backpacks. They were more like book bags for school. Right. Yeah, I agree with you all on that. If it's something, hey, I'm not giving up hunting unless the good Lord makes me. So I invested the money into a pack, and just like Luis and Mike, the way you all were talking, it's an investment that I am so happy that I finally made.
Yeah.
Because good equipment is
it's key.
Awesome.
Yeah. And the other thing I did too is not only do I have my big pack for when we do spike camping out, I also have a day pack that I take with me, because in that I'll pack it. I'll just roll it up and tie it to the side of my pack. Because when we spike camp out, we're going to come back to that spot and sleep at night. but I'll have a day pack. I've got a Kuiu 2300 day pack that I'll just throw just maybe a jacket and my water filtration system in and maybe a meal, or something, some snacks or something to throw in there, and my water filtration system and a water bottle and my first aid kit. And that's what I'll carry with me most of the day. And then if I need to come back and get something, I can come back and get it. Because up there, I mean, the other thing too is talking about weight is, we're always using a GPS to kind of keep track of where we're at, because you don't get cell service up there a lot. So you eat up a lot of batteries. So you got to take a lot of batteries with you. So that's another weight consideration. And so I take extra batteries with me. That way I got them in my pack with me when I'm using my GPS up there.
Yeah, we got about 10 minutes left. And so let's kind of recap this, because just like Luis said earlier, everything from being prepared, practicing with your equipment in your backyard or somewhere safe and you can practice, to your layers, taking care of yourself is from head to toe, to your essentials as far as your sleeping bag, your bedroll. And I agree with both of you all. I think your pack is going to be an investment, but that should be the last thing that you invest in, because that's what's carrying your gear, and you want to carry all that gear that you've already practiced with. You want to be able to put your additional layers in that pack. So let's kind of just recap that for somebody like myself, Bob, or some beginners out there. That's what I took from this. So is that correct?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely. Yeah, I mean, if you're watching this and you've never gone backcountry camping before and you're considering it, I can't speak to if you're going to try to do hunting with it. However, if you're just going to try to go out there and you just want to have a good time, the first thing I would say is, choose an easy destination, find something that's close to home, go hiking, go check out that area first before you try to just go out there and spend the night. Two is stop by your local hiking or camping store and check out your essential gear, which includes your clothing. Check out your clothing and then check out your essential gear, like the items that you're going to bring with you. And then third, I'd say plan your food. You're going to need the food, so try practicing that at home first, making sure that you like it, making sure that your body responds well to it. And then lastly, there's just a lot of little things that you could do to get ready for your trip. Always let somebody know where you're going to go. Always leave your plans behind. Let somebody know when you're planning on going back, and to the best of your ability, try to bring somebody with you, just for safety reasons. So,
Yeah. No, I agree with that. Especially the older we get.
So I'm catching a lot of stuff, as Jason said earlier. A lot of this stuff crosses over, whether you're a fisherman, a hunter, or backcountry camper. I mean, a lot of this stuff, advice that you guys have said, get out and practice, learn how to actually use the equipment, go into a safe space first, not necessarily don't go 100 miles back into the Appalachian Mountains.
Make all your mistakes at home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your backyard is your laboratory. Make all the mistakes there.
Yeah.
So yeah. So there's one thing that you guys didn't talk about, and we only got 5 minutes. I just want to ask a simple question. Do you guys do much with solar? I heard you talk about batteries, Mike.
Yeah.
You guys carry solar panels.
So my next trip out to Colorado elk hunting, I will have a small portable solar panel to charge stuff with.
Okay.
I'll get rechargeable batteries in that. Yep. It's well worth it. Instead of having to take extra batteries, I'll take an extra set, and then I'll have a set that I can have on the charge with a solar panel while I'm sitting in glass, and I can just pop that solar panel open and charge a battery, and then I got charged up batteries again.
So, and Mike's spending a week out there.
Yeah.
Luis, is yours just like a weekend getaway?
Yeah, I've never done anything more than like maybe like a night or two. I actually was planning like an upcoming try to do like a 2-night thing, but I definitely it's not something that I have ever brought like solar panel stuff for, but I could see why that would be a really good idea. And that is something, it's funny that you say that I was actually going to look into. Whether it's like a little lantern or something like that. That's really easy to just kind of hang up outside of your tent and then just let the sun soak up while you're just kind of out hanging out. Because then at nighttime you could just turn that on whenever. Usually I'm not gone for that long where I would need to. I mean, batteries would be just fine. I do always carry backup batteries with me, but wherever you can save weight, that'd be great. So if you could utilize natural resources like sunlight to energize your stuff, then it's a win-win.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, so we only got about 4 minutes left. And man, this, to me, I don't know about you, Jason, but I picked up quite a few things. You see me with notes all over the place.
I can't wait to see these guys' lists if they would do that for us. But what I really took from this is as a hunter, I've probably got.
You're pretty close.
You pretty much have everything you need, Jason.
Yeah.
Like I would argue that you would have everything that you would need.
Yeah, I mean, I would need a tent, a bedroll, and a sleeping bag that would be, compactable to where I can strap to my pack or whatever.
My sleeping bag weighs almost 2 pounds. That's it. But I got a lightweight one, but I also have a liner that I take with me when I know it's going to get colder, like up in the mountains, that I can put inside that sleeping bag that helps with that the degree factor, lowering it down to where I can stay where it's like 0 degrees out and still be comfortable.
Like right now in the summertime, I'll just bring the liner out with me.
Yeah.
Like I'll definitely have to check the weather, and I'll have my layers just in case it'll get colder. But if it's going to drop down to like mid 60s, I'll just kind of put on my puffy jacket and then just have like my sleeping bag. Liner. And then that saves me a ton of weight.
Oh yeah.
And so that's super helpful.
It's kind of neat. The only thing that, going on what you were saying, the only thing that I don't have a very good one that I could carry all this stuff is the backpack. I got everything else.
Mm-hmm.
It may not be the latest and the greatest, but it will get me started because I do have a decent sleeping bag, a decent pad, and a 2-person tent.
I see me visiting REI or one of these stores. That's I can already see that coming.
Yeah.
Hey, if you come into Richmond REI, then you got to come to my house, man. I'm only 30 minutes from there.
Hey, I'll be in Richmond Wednesday, Mike.
Well, Bob was saying on our squirrel hunting trip that he wanted to give it a try, a backcountry.
I still do.
Trip. So if we get a certain number of likes and subscribes, comment down below if you want to see Bob go on a backcountry camping trip.
I want to see Bob go on a backpacking, hiking overnight trip. I want to see that.
I'll tell you what.
Hey, I might go just to video it.
There you go.
I tell you what, if we get enough, let's say if we can get 100 views, likes on this thing, this show right here, then Luis, you set something up in October.
Deal.
We'll go on, but you got to get a bow.
Okay. Oh, okay.
you told him October. That's bow season. That's
no, that worked out perfectly, didn't it?
Yeah. Guys, we got less than a minute. So the challenge is 100 likes, and Bob goes overnight backcountry hunting / camping.
Awesome.
Very cool.
Hey guys, thank you all so much. I learned a ton.
This has been fun. I learned a lot myself. Thanks a lot, guys. I really appreciate this.
Yeah. Like I always say, keep it simple, go hunting. Now I'm going to say keep it simple and go backpacking as well.
There you go.
Get out in the outdoors and enjoy it.
Awesome.
Cool. Thanks so much.
Thanks for having us.
All right. Talk to you later, guys.
All right.
Great stuff.
Bye.